T minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff.
Live from somewhere deep in the Freedom State of Florida, it's the Let's Be Frank Show with your host, Frank.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of our Freedom Stream. And this is Monday night, 10 p.m. I'm starting to like this little 10 p.m. time slot. Maybe we'll stay here, but it's great to see all of you guys. Thank you for joining me. I put a poll out over on the channel there just a few minutes ago, and I'm about to end the poll. But the question was, do you think there will be any arrest? And so far, those who have voted in the poll, currently, people are still voting, it looks like, there have been 54% on the no and 46% with the yes. So I'm about to end this poll here in just a second as people are still doing it. But hey, I like these little polls. It gives you a good idea of where the temperature is with the people. And here we are on a Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern talking about, of course, more developments after the Tulsi Gabbard delivery dump of documents over to the Bermuda Triangle desk of Pam Bondi, where she's recommending indictments against those who were involved with Spygate, Crossfire Hurricane, and of course, it all originated with Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, John Brennan, James Clapper, etc., etc., etc. We got so much to cover tonight once again, and I really do hope that there will be arrests. Of course, I have to guard that against the expectations that these indictments or these files that have been dumped on Pam Bondi's Bermuda Triangle of a desk will actually see the light of day and actually get in front of a grand jury to bring these people to justice, because that is what we need. We need justice for the treason that so many of these crooked politicians have committed against this country in the name of their own selfish ambitions and desires and their ambition of becoming rich on the backs of the American taxpayer. My gosh, these people deserve prison. So we got a great show lined up for you tonight, looking at some of this stuff that's been coming out. The biggest news was the whole immunity talk about Barack Hussein Obama. One of the representatives out of one of the representatives out of the House of Representatives had actually already talked about this idea that Barack Obama would not have immunity for these cases that are being brought forth. And so there is a lot to look at, and I got that story pulled up. So let's go ahead and put it up on the screen here. And it says, Mike Davis says Obama has no immunity in the Russian hoax cover-up. Warns co-conspirators justice is coming, and they should be very scared. That, my friends, is very encouraging. I'm encouraged by seeing the DNI, the DOJ, the FBI. President Trump has been nonstop over the last couple of days, tweeting out that these people are coming. He just posted a picture of himself, of course, like a poster, like a movie poster almost. I'll put it up on the screen here a little bit. A movie poster of him saying the hunted has become the hunter. That is quite literally what we voted for. I voted for justice. I voted for accountability to be reckoned with those who were involved with the cover-up of the Russian collusion scandal, those who had interfered in the 2020 election, and of course, COVID as well. And this all comes together, right? This whole thing of the Russian collusion that started back in 2020, or excuse me, 2016, impacted everything thing else that we saw during the last 10 years. This one thing that they did impacted all these other things. And therefore, I believe there's a very solid argument that those who have participated in this also participated in many other crimes down the road. And that's what we're going to look at today, starting with a story here from the Gateway Pundit, which Mike Davis says Obama has no immunity. In a new interview with Benny Johnson, legal expert and the Article 3 project founder, Mike Davis obliterated the left's last line of defense in the Russia collusion hoax: Barack Obama's supposed immunity. Davis said Obama has zero protection from prosecution. So sorry. Prosecution if he participated in the cover-up after leaving office. And yeah, he did. Mike Davis explained that presidential immunity only protects actions taken while someone is actively serving as president. Once they're no longer in office, they lose that protection. So if a former president is involved in a criminal cover-up after leaving office, they can be held legally accountable. Immunity no longer applies. According to Davis, the so-called statute of limitations argument, the favorite excuse of deep state operatives hoping to run out the clock, doesn't apply either. Why? Because the criminal conspiracy never stopped. Mike Davis made it clear that it isn't just about exposing a political dirty trick. This was a multi-year coup against a duly elected president of the United States, and the perpetrators are still walking free. And if you tuned in last night, if you were part of the live stream last night, I walked us through the history of the collusion against President Trump. We walked through the history back in 2017 where everything started, or truly started back in 2016, but you know what I mean. As soon as President Trump was inaugurated as president of the United States, it started right then and there with the efforts to ensure that President Trump would never get a solid footing and to be able to execute his agenda for the American people. The people who went and voted for President Trump to radically change the country back to a level which we have not seen in years and decades, if you will, because of the deep rot corruption that these politicians have brought on this nation. And so we went through step by step of what took place leading up to where we are today. And it's huge. This is huge. People need to go to prison. Prison is the only thing from here on out that will be satisfactory to anyone who really wants accountability. So let's see if we have. Yeah, we do. Let's take a listen.
Talk us through what happens next. And if you don't mind, could you narrow it down to Comey, Clapper, Brennan, and Barack Obama? Will Barack Obama be able to claim presidential immunity on this? Can you claim presidential immunity if you're committing a crime?
He might be able to claim presidential immunity for his actions while he was the president of the United States, and they'll have to litigate that, right? It's unclear whether he'll ultimately get presidential immunity for this, but I'll tell you this, it's an ongoing criminal conspiracy, and presidential immunity covers his actions while he's the president of the United States.
And let me stop it right there. He is correct on this, right? Because him being involved with the other players in D.C. Remember, most presidents move away from D.C. once they leave office. Obama bought a house in the heart of D.C. to continue to run operations against President Trump. If anything, former President Obama house was actually the headquarters for the resistance, for the Democrat Party, where they probably did collude many times together. So again, he is correct. Mike Davis is correct here. It was an ongoing, even after he left office, he was behind the scenes working to ensure that the wheels of the Trump train would be slowed down by all of the traitors who had been put in place by the Obama administration. Let's continue.
They don't cover his actions when he's the former president of the United States and when he's participating in the cover up of this conspiracy, then he doesn't have presidential immunity.
Can you explain what the statute of limitations is here, Mike? Is there any worming, snake slithering wiggle room here? Are there any technicalities that they're going to be able to hide under a rock over?
Yeah, remember this back in 2016, you had President Obama and then Vice President Joe Biden and Clapper and Comey and Brennan and so many other goons make up the Russian collusion hoax. They worked with the Hillary's campaign, the DNC, the Steele dossier. You had Perkins Coie law firm. You made up the Steele dossier. You made up the Russian collusion hoax. You said you were lying. You said that the Trump and his campaign were colluding with the Russians to steal the 2016 election. You fed this to the FISA court as bogus evidence. So you lied to the FISA court. You got an illegal spy warrant from this federal court. You spied on then presidential candidate Donald Trump. You continued to spy on Donald Trump when he was the president of the United States. You used his own FBI and his own CIA and other intel agencies to hobble his presidency. I remember when I went to the Senate Judiciary Committee at the beginning of his administration in 2017, and everyone was running around, including Senate Republicans, saying that Trump is a Russian asset because of this Russian collusion hoax. They destroyed his many parts of his first term. Now, it was still wildly successful because Trump is such a strong leader. But look what we're seeing now compared to his first term. And look at how much he's accomplishing now compared to his first term. That's what they were trying to prevent in his first term. His monumental accomplishments over the last 6 months, they tried to hobble the first time. And you talk about the statute of limitations, Ben. Generally, the statute of limitations for federal felonies is 5 years. So you say, oh, this was 2016. We're well beyond the statute of limitations. Guess what? You're not, because this is an ongoing criminal conspiracy. When you conspire, in order for the conspiracy to stop, you have to disavow the conspiracy. The ends of the conspiracy have to end. They haven't. They are covering up the conspiracy. They are perjuring themselves. We saw perjury by high-ranking Obama officials during this ongoing criminal conspiracy. I think it was in 2022. So we're well within the statute of limitations. And I would say to these Biden Democrats, justice is coming. I would be very, very scared if I were you. I don't think we'll put you in Mike Davis's gulag, the Viceroy's gulag, as we joke, as we troll. But justice is definitely coming, and I think the Bureau of Prisons will have plenty of space for these people.
Yeah, I heard there's also space in the Alligator Alcatraz here in the state of Florida as well. Spot on with this analysis from Mike Davis. Of course, this is something that we talked about on last night's Freedom Stream, where we talked about how all of this was working together with Obama, Hillary, and all of the things that are connected all through. We even looped in the Epstein stuff because that's all part of this Epstein stuff. We talked about the Seth Richards stuff too. Seth Rich's computer, where he was a victim of a takeout on the streets of DC. Remember, a staged robbery. And so they take out Seth Rich, and instead of actually, stealing anything from Seth Rich, all they did was take him out on the streets there. And then the FBI went to his apartment to take his laptop because it wasn't WikiLeaks who had delivered all the material about Clinton's all the DNC emails and stuff like that. It was Seth Rich. So there's so much here that it all leads back to these corrupt politicians, people like Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the list goes on, even to Joe Biden. And this is something that we need to see justice for. We need to see justice for these individuals who sat there and just completely destroyed this country's trust that it had for leaders in positions of power and things like that because of what they were doing behind the scenes, because they lost an election, because the American people rejected Barack Hussein's Obama vision for this nation and said, we need to turn around. This has been too long that we've been going down this road to the far left. And the American voters said, enough is enough. And they voted for President Trump. They voted for change, and not any type of change, a change that would be a wrecking ball to the uniparty within D.C. This is why President Trump was so resisted against by even Republicans in his first term. It's not so much anymore, but in his first term, if you remember, it was constant. The Senate Republicans, the House Republicans, so many people like Paul Ryan, Will Hurd in the House, and then you had all of the Senate ones, people like John McCain, and of course Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, etc., etc. All these people pushed back against President Trump, hoping they could get rid of him, right? They were hoping they could take him out. They were hoping they would get Mike Pence. Mike Pence was the insurance policy for the Republican Party. He was the insurance policy. He was who they really wanted to go ahead because they knew they could get the war mongering left or right to consolidate onto Mike Pence. And so once again, because we saw the traitors that came out during Mike Pence's own office, right? His chief of staff who helped set up Michael Flynn in the first place with the FBI, with James Comey and all of those traitors over there in the FBI. All of this all stems. It's one big conspiracy. It's not just Democrats, just not Obama, Hillary. There are notable Republicans that are in there. Just like there's notable Republicans in the Epstein list, just like there's notable Democrats in the Epstein list, like there's CEOs on the Epstein list, there are actors from Hollywood on the Epstein list. This Epstein list is so damning that they are doing everything they can in order to hide it, even under this administration. However, because of the nature of what we're seeing with Spygate, all of this is still connected. All of this has intertwined webbing that connects each other from one thing to the other. It's not that far of a stretch to even look and say, wow, a lot of these same players are over here too. Wow, we got these guys who are over here and they're over here. Is there a connection? Is there a connection to this? And of course there is, right? Of course there's a connection. Of course there's a cover-up. Of course there's conspiracy. Of course there's collusion. However, it doesn't stop there, right? It doesn't stop there as we continue to look at this stuff. Let's see here. Speaking of the Epstein list, go ahead and pull this one up real quick because, of course, the Epstein list is something that we've been talking about, and we'll go back to the Spygate stuff here, but I had this one up on the screen. Just want to go ahead and talk about this one real quick because this, obviously, why not? Why did it not happen in Florida, right? Always happens in Florida. DOJ charges Florida man for allegedly threatening to take out everyone on the Epstein client list, which the FBI and DOJ said did not exist. Interesting, right? So the United States Department of Justice has arrested and charged a Florida man with threatening to take out several people on the client list. It says it does not exist. Court Watch reported that Terrell Bailey Corsi of Manatee, Florida. Oh, I used to live near Manatee, Florida, by the way. Manatee County. I lived pretty close to that before we moved up to the northern part of Florida. But yeah, I lived near there. Anyway, Manatee, Florida was arrested on Friday for allegedly tweeting at ex-AI agent Grok that he would take out everyone on the Epstein list, including a number of politicians. Police authorities allege that Bailey Corsi posted multiple messages on X and Facebook in the last week, threatening physical harm against those on the list. Well, at Grok, you're wrong. Everyone involved, if I see them in real life, I will take out on site with a machete so everyone can see the blood and gore of the moment. You can't fear death, so you can't understand. I will take out everyone on the list, Bailey Corsi allegedly tweeted on July 15th at X's Grok. Yeah, don't tweet at Grok. The dude's an AI. Dude's probably in with the feds. You don't tweet at that dude. He also allegedly threatened to take out 3 unnamed government officials in a R-rated all caps post an hour later on X. I think this is here. Yeah. So it said this is per Corsi here on X. It says every Epstein apologist kid diddler do not know my name. Never met me in public because I will effing take you out. I will beat you until you beg for your life and then still effing take you out. Government official 1, government official 2, government official 3. I will effing take you out on sight. You Satan sea sucker. I will hear the blood guggle from your lungs as you attempt to breathe. Do you see this? Do you effing stand me? My life means nothing. If I could see you dead, it would be worth it all. Fear God. Oh my gosh. This guy went all out, man. This guy went all out with his threatening of everyone. Obviously, this guy is probably suffering from some mental illness. There is a mental illness going on with this guy. It's been really hot here in Florida lately. It's been really, really hot lately. I mean, the heat may have gotten to him. Maybe he had a couple brewskis. He was feeling a little frisky. He got on X. He started posting to Grok, and things got out of hand. But yeah, dude, that I had to completely censor that because I don't like using some of these words myself. But yeah, it was bad. The court documents revealed that Bailey Corsi allegedly made similar threatening posts dating back to June 2022 or June 22nd. Authorities said that they were able to match Bailey Corsi's X and Facebook accounts by comparing his profile pictures and account usernames. Ignamatist and Ignatis. Neither of his social media accounts revealed his partisan affiliation. Law enforcement said that they interviewed Bailey Corsi on July 17th, where he reportedly admitted his guilt. According to the court watch, Bailey Corsi faces 1 count of transmitting an interstate threat. The FBI and DOJ previously determined Epstein did not have a client list that he used for blackmail. The FBI also determined that Epstein did not commit suicide in August of 2019. But yet, they charged him for talking about the Epstein list. Well, this guy here went off the rails. First of all, he was way out there, but needless to say, I do not condone the language. He was on to something. He was definitely on to something about those covering for those individuals who continue to cover for those who terrorize young kids. Absolutely, absolutely. Unreal. Yeah, that story may not see much of that story anywhere else. You may not see much of that anywhere else. So you guys just got to let me know if you guys hear anything else about it out there anywhere else. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and get my bookmarks pulled up over here. I had a couple. So I had this pulled up. I was wanted to talk a little bit about this because we touched on it yesterday on the stream and did get a chance to even, for those who may not remember, Seth Rich. This is Seth Rich, by the way. Says if you were the victim of an attempted robbery, would the police go to your apartment and confiscate your laptop? Of course not. Of course not. They would never do that unless that laptop contained information that hurt the political party, unless the police were involved with the cover-up on this. Seth Rich did nothing wrong. Seth Rich was a victim of the Clinton body count. Seth Rich, only crime was going to be telling the American people how corrupt the Democrat Party actually was. And what did he get for that? Well, he got in an attempted robbery that really was a hit on him by the Clinton body count counter. Dude, man, this guy did nothing wrong, man. And they gunned him down in DC. They gunned him down in the street. This is what these people do. They take out those who can hurt them. They take them out with prejudice. They don't care. They do not care whatsoever. Seth Rich, for all of his efforts to help unleash the corruption, to unveil the corruption that was behind the DNC machine. The Clintons made sure he wasn't going to tell any more tales. And so, yeah, that is Seth Rich. So for those of you guys who may not know who he is, again, we're here in 2025 now. This is all the way back in 2016. And people may not remember, or new people to the political sphere may not remember. We've been around for a while now with all of this stuff. And these people are unashamed, man. They will do anything to just take out those who, present fear on them. And it's terrible. It is terrible. People like Seth Rich will now, obviously, they try to erase his name. They try not to, if you talk about him or whatever too much, people tend to just think you're crazy. But this guy was an American hero. More than you guys think. And yeah, there's Seth Rich, man. R.I.P., dude. R.I.P. So let's continue on here. I got some other stuff that we got to look at today. So this was on the Jesse Kelly show earlier today. And let me play this clip for you guys from Jesse Kelly. Talking about Barack Hussein Obama back to the Spygate. Let's take a listen.
It wasn't just that they had the intelligence community create false intelligence to say Donald Trump worked with Russia. Once the false intelligence was created, then these evil organizations do what they always do. They ran to the media organizations that are aligned with the communists, and they started leaking the information out there. You probably remember Donald Trump got elected, and every single time you turned on the television, you were hammered in the face with this.
There is circumstantial evidence of collusion.
It's super obvious already. He is a Russian asset.
He is clearly a Russian asset.
The president is acting like he is the asset for Russia.
Back then, my biggest fear was we had elected an asset of the Russian government who would sell out America at every opportunity just to save his own hide. My biggest fear now is that I was right.
And from there, they unleashed the special counsel because Jeff Sessions, Donald Trump's first attorney general, is, I hear he's a nice man. So weak, very weak, unbelievably naive. Think single-ply toilet paper when it gets wet, that kind of weak. He decided to wash his hands. Well, it wouldn't be right to get involved. We better have a special counsel. And for 2 years, based on completely invented intelligence, Donald Trump had his presidency stalled and stumbled and ripped up by the Mueller report. Mueller, a lot of people forget this little fact. Mueller, this didn't come out till afterwards, figured out very early on there was no Russian collusion because he looked through all the documents, couldn't find it. And he chose to keep that information from the American people until after the midterm election where Donald Trump, he lost the House of Representatives. Democrats took over and promptly impeached Donald Trump 2 times before the 2020 election. All of this comes all the way back to Barack Obama, the communist. The communist sitting in the White House, sitting in the Oval Office. The communist who believes in using government power against his political opponents.
And he's absolutely right. This is everything that we talked about last night on the Freedom Stream. We talked about how the special counsel was used in that manner to, of course, impact the elections in the midterms, where the midterms were, they stalled out President Trump's momentum for 2 years. And then once the midterms were over, the special counsel finished, but then it was already too late. The House of Representatives had already flipped to Democrats when then decided to go ahead and impeach President Trump, which was their initial plan to try to kick him out of office. This is what took place. So again, this was an ongoing effort. From the very beginning, when Donald Trump went down that escalator to the time he was inaugurated president, to the time 2020 came around, and to the time that he was almost taken out at Butler, Pennsylvania, there has always been collusion between the Democrat Party, Barack Obama, the intelligence agencies, and the media in order to take him out. That absolutely disgusting. And Michael Scott, I'm glad that you're glad to see me back. I'm glad to be back as well. I kind of like this 10 p.m. time slot, like I mentioned earlier. So this thing where Jesse Kelly lays out, he's absolutely correct. He's absolutely correct with the whole thing of how all of this turned out. And it was always going to go this way. Jeff Sessions just absolutely rolled over at the very beginning. All of the people who Trump had surrounded himself within the first administration, within the first couple months of his new term, was already falling apart. Remember what I said, the Senate Republicans dragged their feet to confirm Jeff Sessions. President Trump had to deal with Sally Yates, who was a Democrat left over from Obama, running as his attorney general. And she was working night and day in order to continue to sabotage the Trump administration. His chief of staff, Reince Priebus, sat there and filled up his staff, his White House, with Obama leftovers, with swamp creatures, loyal to people like Paul Ryan, people who hated President Trump. So this all goes back. They all were in it together. Every single one of them in it together, ensuring that President Trump would fail in his first term, if not get impeached and removed, which was their ultimate plan. The ultimate plan was to remove President Trump. Hey, Sparky, thanks for joining me tonight. I see you over there. That was the ultimate goal, to take out Trump. Mike Pence was the insurance policy. Mike Pence was going to play ball with the Democrats. He was going to play ball with the rhinos in the Republican caucus. He was going to play ball. We were going to go to war with Russia. We were going to go war with Iran. We were going to go war with China, because that's what the warmongers wanted. And so this is the individuals that we had running things behind the scenes at every opportunity. Don't forget, Nancy Pelosi wielded much power in D.C. Even to this day, I still believe she wields lots of influential power in D.C. They were all out to get Trump, but not just Trump, right? They were going to make you pay for daring to vote against Hillary. They were going to make you pay. They were going to make it hurt. This is your avatar? President Trump is your avatar? He's the one that's going to go in and wreck stuff? Oh, yeah. We're going to take him out. In doing so, we're going to take you guys out too. This is what they were doing. It was so deeply ingrained into DC culture for the hatred of the everyday individual American who had no voice, who felt like they had no voice in DC, had no voice in the affairs of this nation because they were too busy selling it out. Then the one avatar that they decided to go ahead and elect was to go in and be a bull in a china shop. Wreck it all. We are so tired. Wreck it all. Hey, Mayor. Hello, Salt Pirate over on Rumble. Thank you for watching over on Rumble. Of course, all of our wonderful people who watch over on Rumble, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the show. And of course, thank you to all of our wonderful viewers over here on YouTube as well. I do appreciate you guys tremendously for coming out at 10 p.m. Eastern time to support the channel. So thank you so much for all of the support that you guys continue to show. If you have not done so already, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like what you're hearing, we are going to be holding these shows daily, 10 p.m. Eastern time every day. So I hope you guys are getting at least get to catch one or two of the Freedom streams throughout the week. But yeah, so again, all of this was planned out from the very beginning. And it was all to, of course, continue to rob this country, continue to rob its generations, and continue to do what it's doing. Is Trump's administration perfect this time? No, it is not. Could it be better? Absolutely. Are we getting some of the stuff we want? Yes. Would we've gotten it with Kamala Harris? Absolutely not. And so we celebrate the wins that we got. We got to continue to have pressure on the areas that we need for him to become more bullish on, and continue to demand justice and accountability for those who absolutely worked overtime and against this country. And so, yes, we want accountability. We want justice served to those who have worked against this nation in so many different capacities. The rot runs deep. Yes, Obama may be the figurehead, but there are more underlings all throughout the agencies in D.C. We have not expelled all of them out of these agencies. These agencies are still crawling with communists who are hell-bent on destroying this country, hell-bent at derailing President Trump's agenda, which, if I would remind you, is your agenda. Your agenda for this nation moving forward into the future. The purging of these departments needs to continue. We need to continue, if we can, to do away with some of them, which we do not need. I would love for the TSA to be dismantled. Gosh, that agency is worthless. Filled with pork. Don't tell anybody I told you this, but the TSA, that's Sparky's favorite agency of all. Anyway, so Jesse Kelly, right on with what's taking place, or what took place. A great history lesson for those that may not remember. And I'm not upset with those who may not remember, because, of course, 10 years is a long time. A lot of people maybe were not engaged in politics at the time, and they just now got into it, right? So take a look at this. I love this sign. I would love to get the sign hung up in my office. When corrupt politicians start going to jail, we can start trusting the government again. Yeah, when I start seeing corrupt politicians start going to jail, our trust will go up just a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm going to give in full trust to the government. However, when I start seeing them be hauled away in handcuffs and sent to alligator Alcatraz, and then maybe, just then, I will give a little bit of trust to them. Not much, though. It won't be much. Maybe like an extra % or two. Which would be at 1 or 2% trusting the government, because they have zero trust right now. Zero trust for the government right now. But I like that. I like that sign. Need to definitely get this. Well, anyway, Hunter Biden had an epic crash out, by the way, today. He was being interviewed, and dude had a crash out. So I'm glad to warn you guys, there is language in this clip. So just a heads up, if you are near children, maybe put your headphones in for this. So let's take a listen to this clip here. Let me hit play.
Opinions, but fuck him. Fuck him and everybody around him. I don't have to be fucking nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. Fucking George Clooney is not a fucking actor. He is a fucking, I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. Fuck you. What do you have to do with fucking anything? Why do I have to fucking listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his fucking life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the fucking New York Times to me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 fucking years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of fucking David Axelrod. And David Plouffe, and all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys, who were junior fucking speechwriters in, on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who have been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars. The Anita Dunns of the world, who's made $40, $50 million off the Democratic Party. They're all going to insert their judgment over a man who has figured out, unlike anybody else, how to get elected to the United States Senate over 7 times, how to pass more legislation than any president in history, how to have a better midterm election than anybody in history, and how to garner more votes than any president that has ever run. And they're going to replace their judgment for his.
Not to mention,
who's Jake Tapper's audience? Jake Tapper,
my mom or something. I don't know.
well, I don't know.
Yeah.
For real though, I don't even think it's your mom anymore.
No,
because by the numbers, what influence does Jake Tapper have over anything? He has the smallest audience on cable news, and beyond that, I think that the book is right now on Amazon that he put out. I mean, his ratings just went to shit after he put the book out. You know, they did a 2-week infomercial for it. I mean, it was such a money grab, such a disservice to everybody that he serves with.
Dude had an epic crash out today, man. He went off on the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party obviously turned on Biden. And so here Hunter is. I think he may have done crack. I think he might have hit the crack pipe right before this interview because he was just out of it, man. He was sitting there dropping, I don't know if I've heard that many F-bombs in a row in a video in a very long time. Just his vocabulary is very limited, apparently. Very limited. It shows very little restraint to be able to effectively communicate without having to drop, I don't know, 15, 20 F-bombs. I should have had an F-bomb counter on that thing. But yeah, dude was absolutely mad. And you know what? And not for nothing, right? I think I would be a little upset. Let me put myself in Hunter's shoes for a second, right? Let's put ourselves in Hunter Biden's shoes for a moment, Willie. You have your dad, who's the president of the United States, right? And you view him as a hero, and you think the people around you are on the same team, and then before you know it, everybody's throwing your dad under the bus and getting him to not run for president again because they think he's too old after they used him up. So yeah, I mean this this thing here with Biden, with Hunter Biden, I can see as a son. I can see as a son maybe lashing out at those who, took your dad out. There is a little bit of something to that. You could probably relate to that a little bit. Maybe not in the sense of being a Hunter Biden per se, but having a dad who was schemed behind our backs to take out, and then made a very public knowledge about it, and who worked alongside his father to become rich and things like that, and then to go ahead and dump him at the last minute. There was no way he was going to win against Trump anyway. But all of that, just to say this, I could understand maybe why Hunter Biden hates the Democrat Party right now. Just saying. Yo, JJR over on Rumble, he said, number 5, Rumble like, glad I can make it live. Howdy. Yeah, man. Thanks for being over on Rumble. Appreciate you watching and supporting the stream over there. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the like button over on Rumble as well if you're watching over there. I appreciate you guys watching and supporting the stream. Thank you so much once again. And so, yeah, so Hunter Biden, man, he just went off on the Democrat Party. Absolutely, because of what they did to his dad. And of course, what they did to his dad was take him out of the thing and replace him with cackling Kamala, who wasn't much better, was actually probably worse than Joe Biden. I don't know how you become worse than Joe Biden, but Hillary Clinton. But Kamala Harris absolutely proved you could be worse than Joe Biden. And that was pretty interesting. So let's see. Oh boy, here we go. So James Comey, let's gotta pull this up real quick for you guys. James Comey's daughter, if you guys don't remember, James Comey's daughter works over in the Southern District of New York. She is part of the a part of the swamp over there. So she was fired by Pam Bondi earlier this week, or late last week, I should say. So former FBI director and seashell collector James Comey fumes after the Trump Department of Justice fired his daughter. Maureen Comey was fired from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. Comey is clearly not happy about it. So let's take a listen to what the traitor Comey has to say about this whole ordeal.
This week, I want to offer some thoughts about justice. The Justice Department's ability to protect the American people depends upon a gift that every employee gets when they join the department. It's a gift they may not know they're getting until the first time they stand up and identify themselves as a justice employee and say something, whether that's in a courtroom or at a conference or at a cookout, and they find that total strangers believe what they say next. They're believed because when they speak, they aren't seen as Republicans or Democrats. Instead, they're seen as something separate and apart in American life. A group of people just trying to do the right thing. For years, I've described that gift as a reservoir of trust and credibility. Fear is the tool of a tyrant, wielded to suppress independent thought. Instead of fear, let this moment fuel the fire that already burns at the heart of this place. A fire of righteous indignation at abuses of power, of commitment to seek justice for victims, of dedication to truth above all else. It has been an honor to fight for those principles by your side. And she signed it, Maureen. I don't have much to add to that, except to say the reservoir is in grave danger right now. Trump and the hacks who lead the Department of Justice are hammering at the dam day after day, trying to turn it into just another gold leaf covered Trump subsidiary. Our best hope is that good people will stay and do what Maureen asked. Have the courage to do the right thing always. You may get fired for acting that way, but there's honor in that, and nothing but disgrace for those who don't stand up. There are going to be hard weeks in the Trump era, and this was one for my family. But there are plenty of good people still in the department committed to doing things the right way, committed to the rule of law. For them, because of them, keep the faith.
Committed. He still has a bunch of people. He's saying, hey, yeah, there's plenty of more of these people like my daughter in the Department of Justice. That just tells me that Pam Bondi needs to fire some more people in the Department of Justice if there are more people like his daughter in there, whose only function is that they are to rail against President Trump. And that's what the Department of Justice, people like Maureen Comey and, of course, James Comey himself were doing. They absolutely are not non-political. They're Democrat operatives. They show their true colors every single time when they go to a barbecue or to tweet out on Twitter 8645, right, or 47. They know exactly what they're doing. These people hate Trump, and they will work inside within the system if they're not fired and taken out. And Maureen Comey was a prime example of that. She was one of the ones who was helping cover up the files of Epstein during the time of her stay there in the Department of Justice. I'm glad that she's gone. I'm glad that she's out, and they need to be. Hello, Crash Bandit over on Rumble. Thank you for joining me over there. So I appreciate you guys and hanging out over on Rumble. Love you guys. Thank you. So again, James Comey. Yeah, there are going to be some more hard days and hard weeks coming for the Comey family, especially when you get indicted by a grand jury for your crimes against the American people. James Comey is nothing but a soft spoken communist. It doesn't stop here, right? We have scandal after scandal piling up. We have the auto pen one that is gaining some steam now as well, with more and more of Biden's staff pleading the fifth because they know they're cooked. They know they're cooked. They know they use Biden's signature without his permission to grant favors for clemency and pardons on behalf of Joe Biden without his knowledge, and them using the auto pen to do this. And of course, that goes into question with so many other things. People like the Supreme Court Justice Jackson was her appointment to the Supreme Court done with auto pen. That would be one thing to absolutely open up and look at, because that would, make it invalid, an invalid seating of a Supreme Court justice that would need to be replaced. Absolutely. Yes. More of that, please. More of that, my girl. That's what we need. That is what we need. We need more investigations, and we need results. We need indictments. And and the evidence continues to stay on the Bermuda Triangle desk of Pam Bondi. We may need to go ahead and launch SEAL Team 6 to go in there and locate these files for indictment, so we can go ahead and get the ball rolling and see Barack Hussein Obama taken out of handcuffs, Hillary Clinton taken out of handcuffs, and so on and so forth and so on and so forth, because there are so many criminals, and we can build another alligator Alcatraz if we need to. I don't care. Send them to Gitmo, send them to Alcatraz in San Francisco. I don't care where we send them, but get them out of power now. That's what we want. That's what we need. We need justice. We need accountability. I don't know how many times I've said that today, but we do. This was put out by President Trump earlier today. And over on his Truth Social account, he stated this. He said, Obama himself manufactured the Russia hoax. Crooked Hillary, Sleepy Joe, and the numerous others participated in this. The crime of the century. Infruitable evidence. A major threat to our country. Yes, and yes. That is what we need. More of this, my girl. More of this. I want these people to absolutely go to prison. Go to prison. Man, we would do paid per view, and we would pay down the debt of this country in a night. People tuning in to pay per view to see the trials of Barack Hussein Obama and his cronies as they are tried for treason against the country of the United States. That would sell some big tickets. Trump can even tweet out the pay-per-view crowd stuff, and we could go ahead and see that. So Trump posted this, by the way. Let's go ahead and pull this up. This was posted out by President Trump. Remember, President Trump posted this. Seth Rich, he knows how WikiLeaks got to DNC and wasn't from the Russians. Let's take a listen.
Remember John F. Kennedy Jr.? He was declared the frontrunner for the New York Senate seat back in 1999. Days later, his plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, and his rival, Hillary Clinton, was elected senator. Mary Mahoney was a Clinton White House intern. She knew enough of the inner workings of Bill's sexual advancements to be a star witness during the Clinton impeachment trials. She was brutally executed at a Starbucks she was managing in 1997. In 1993, White House counsel Vince Foster was found dead in Fort Marcy Park near D.C. He supposedly killed himself, and among a lengthy list of potential foul play, the bullet was never found. Then there's James McDougal, a key witness for White House prosecutors. He was serving his 3-year sentence for bank fraud at the Fort Worth Federal Medical Center in Texas. And just before he was to give a testimony before the grand jury, McDougal suffered a heart attack in solitary confinement. In 2015, Walter Scheib, a White House chef hired under Bill Clinton, joined the list. His body was found at the bottom of a river, nearly 2 miles from the base of the trail he was reportedly hiking. An autopsy determined that Shive's death was accidental drowning, but he might have known too much. 27-year-old Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich was shot and killed in D.C. this year. There is speculation that he was the source of the controversial leaked emails allegedly sent by DNC staffers, and that he may have been murdered in retaliation. Then Sean Lucas, the lead attorney in a fraud case against the DNC, was found lying on the bathroom floor by his girlfriend when she returned home on August 2nd. His death was reported classified, pending the results of an autopsy. To this day,
Yeah, so yeah. the Hillary scandal is littered with bodies. Littered for her rise and power, littered with bodies from everyone. And this is what President Trump had tweeted out, or had truthed out, if you will. There are so much evidence pointing at these people, the evil that these guys have committed in the name of power and self-enrichment. Man, this takes me back. Watching this video takes me back, and watching some of this stuff. I remember my mom, she loved JFK Jr. She thought that he was going to win the Senate election there in of course New York, and he would have won. He would have won with a landslide. However, she told me, she's like, Hillary had something to do with his plane going down. I was like, what, Mom? This was way back. I was a teenager at the time. I'm like, no way, Mom. And she's like, oh yeah. Hillary had something to do with that. So even people back then knew. And so, yeah, you guys remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers too. Pepperidge Farm remembers as well. We talked about that. Yeah, this is General Flynn real quick. We'll end with this one here. So, General Flynn demands the FBI raid Obama's D.C. mansion immediately and strip passports from every Russian Gate co-conspirator due to the flight risk. Let's take a listen to this video real quick.
What do you see happening next?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. I have made this recommendation that I think that all of these people that are involved, starting with Obama on down, they all ought to have their passports revoked. And people don't need to be checking private airplanes and private airfields for anybody trying to abscond the country and get the heck out of Dodge here. So that's number one. I do think that just as was done to President Trump when they raided his home at Mar-a-Lago, because they thought that there was, and they planted evidence there in that case. But I do think that what the DOJ should be considering, if not getting ready to conduct, is a raid of Barack Obama's home up there at Kalorama in Washington, D.C., where he's been since he physically left the White House. He's been running the White House, all during the Biden regime. And I do think that there's some other places that need to be raided where there are likely, a lot of evidence, a lot of receipts, so to speak, in many of these people that are part of the Obama White House as well as the Biden White House. I mean, I just heard the great David Schoen talking about the former Deputy Attorney General of Monaco, who also was the Homeland Security Advisor to Barack Obama. So that's number one. Those are things that need to be considered right now. And I was ready to wake up this morning to hear about some of these raids that should have been going on. There should, as a minimum, be a task force assembled by of federal law enforcement authorities, as well as a assigned, dedicated, prosecutor at the DOJ level, at the Attorney General level, someone who is working directly for her and for the President of the United States. This has got to happen very quickly.
Yeah, and he's right. He is absolutely correct about this, Flynn. They should be raiding houses. They should be busting down doors. They should be serving the search warrants of all these homes, of all the co-conspirators who are involved with this scandal. There needs to be a reckoning. And I hope within the next week here, within the next 2 weeks, we start to see things moved. Things need to get off the Bermuda Triangle of the desk of Pam Bondi. And we need to indict these individuals, raid their homes, arrest them, perp walk them, and serve justice. Anyway, I appreciate you guys coming in and being part of tonight's Freedom Stream. We will be back tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time here on YouTube and over on Rumble as well. I do appreciate you guys. You can always support the channel by numerous different ways. If you want to hit that like button, it helps tremendously. Hit that subscribe button or share it over on your favorite streaming platform. You can also hit that super chat button, become a member of the channel, or there are numerous other ways you can also participate in that. So thank you guys so much for all the time you guys have given me. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of our Freedom Stream, and hopefully we'll have more to report on with the whole Russiagate scandal and continuing investigations into the communist who is known as Barack Hussein Obama, and of course the mass murderer Hillary Clinton, allegedly. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I hope you guys have a great one. God bless. See you guys soon. Bye, everyone.